Welcome back to How to Cut It in the Hairdressing Industry podcast with myself, Dom Lehane, and you are listening to the award-winning hair industry podcast that gives you the insights, inspirations, and the information to take your hairdressing and barbering careers to the next level. Today is part one of a fantastic two-part feature that we are going to be bringing you, and that is with somebody that I'm a huge fan of in the industry, and that is Sarah Louise Keane. Many of you may know of her on socials as SLK. She's got a huge following on Instagram and TikTok. And for some of you regular listeners, you may remember that we brought Sarah onto the podcast back in 2023. And at that point in her career, she was just breaking through. But today she is now the co-founder of Host in Manchester, and she is here to share her story all about this. Sarah is a UK-based scalp bleach specialist and educator who is on a mission to change the narrative around scalp bleaching completely. Her work as an educator spans the globe, offering both in-person and online education to hair professionals. But beyond this, as I said, she has built up a massive following on socials, and she is also the co-founder of Host Manchester, a truly groundbreaking co-working space designed exclusively for freelance and independent hair professionals. Host Manchester is not just a salon. It's a home for education, creativity, and community. Sarah, alongside her co-founder Peter Tobolski, has reimagined what a workspace can be for hairdressers. Their vision combines the professionalism of a salon, the freedom of independent working, and the collaborative energy of an education and events hub. Sarah knows firsthand how challenging it is to work alone in this industry, and that is why she created Host Manchester, to provide a place where freelancers can come together, refine their craft, and grow their businesses in an environment that feels like home. This, as I mentioned, is part one of 2 episodes with Sarah. And today we're going to focus on her story behind Host Manchester, from the struggles and triumphs of launching the space to how they have created a model designed to empower independent freelance hairstylists. So welcome back on to the How to Cut It in the Hairdressing Industry podcast. Sarah, this is very different to last time.
Very. We're in my salon. Not my spare bedroom.
Because when did we record your podcast? Can you remember? Because I can.
I'm almost certain that it was April 2023. So it is about 2 years ago.
And this is a new thing, to be fair, what I want to do now, because I want to do Revisited with some of my most favourite guests. And you are definitely that. And actually, why I want to revisit your podcast in particular, and I will send some links to our audience to go and have a listen to the previous one.
Yeah.
But so much has happened since that recording, but also there were so many things going on in the background. But I don't want to jump into that yet. We'll kind of lead into that, and it'll probably lead us back to where I'm going to start here, because we are in, as you said, your salon space.
Yes.
So if you're watching this, you'll be able to see it. Host Manchester.
Yeah.
What a cool name. Tell us about it.
So I was actually sick of paying extortionate amounts to hire venues to teach from. And the original plan was I was just going to find somewhere relatively small that I could just be to do my clients and do some classes.
Relatively small, did you say?
And when it came to viewing this space, I was supposed to see somewhere a couple of doors down.
Right.
And I had no idea about square footage at all. I just thought, that sounds about big enough. I don't know. And when I came to see this, as I said, I wasn't supposed to see it. And I come in and thought, wow, this is cheap for this. Like, it's massive. And I'm there thinking, wow, it's like 30 grand a year for this. I thought, this is 1,000 square feet. It's actually quite big. This is nearly it's just under 3,000 square feet. So obviously I had no idea. And I stood downstairs and I just thought, this is it. Like, I don't care what I've got to do. to make. I'd seen a lot of places.
So did you have in your mind a very clear picture about what you wanted to create?
Yeah. And in my mind, there was always a part of me that was like, oh, I'd love somewhere massive. But obviously the thought of having somewhere massive was terrifying because I never intended to have something where necessarily other people would be. All I was thinking about was my classes. That was it. And then when I came in, I thought, well, if I'm going to take something on of this size, I'm going to have to like go back to the drawing board about what it is that I actually want. So I had already, my business partner, Peter, I had already told him that I was coming and he was like, oh, you need any advice? You need any, blah, 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 whatever. And him and his wife knew about everywhere else that I'd seen up to this point. And when I left here, I realised like, I don't want to do, it's so big, like I don't want to take it on my own. I'm a risk taker, but not.
This is
big. Like
2 floors.
Yeah. The biggest.
Former club.
Yeah. It was a nightclub. So just to give everyone an idea of how big it actually is.
Yeah.
And I rang him and I just said, right, I've seen somewhere that I wasn't supposed to see. And I believe that everything happens for a reason. And I just said, I don't want to do it on my own. Do you want to do it with me? And
why did you want somebody to do it with you?
It's not that I necessarily wanted someone. I wanted Peter.
Why Peter?
Because we'd built our working relationship up over a couple of years, and I really valued his experience in our industry and his level of expertise. He's had multiple salons before. He's worked in the industry for longer than I've been alive. Sorry. And that in itself that's something that I don't have. I have a lot of drive and a lot of passion, but I don't have the knowledge, the expertise or the contacts that he does in the industry domain. I would say, even though I'm nearly 35, I still feel like I'm at the start of my career, and he isn't. He's at the other end. And the trust that I have in him, as well as that, is what made me ask him more than like. So
was Peter down with it as soon as you seen this?
He went, well, I'll have to speak to Steph, which is his wife. And I thought, I know that you're going to, I remember thinking, I know that you're going to say yeah. And then he was like, right, Steph wants to see it. And I was like, right, okay, cool. Like, here's the details, whatever. They came and saw it. And, they came on a day that I was teaching a class somewhere else in Manchester. And they were there at the end of the class. And I went, what do you think? And Steph went, we're in. And that was it.
How excited did you feel?
I think I did. I think I had tears in my eyes at the time when they said it, because just.
This is a dream space.
Yeah, it is.
It is, really.
And for them to have the belief in the vision that I had, as well as the belief in me and the trust in me, because, financially we've put a lot of money. I could have bought a house and I didn't. I chose to put everything that I've worked so hard for into this instead. And, to know that someone else backs me in the way that I back myself, that just means, like, I can't really describe it.
Do you still have moments? Because you have to.
Yeah, all the time. Sometimes when I'm here, I have a moment where I'm like, oh my God, this is mine. Like, this is actually mine. And then I have a freak out. I try and see it as I work here instead of, oh, I own this place. So that's why, like, I didn't want to be the person that's responsible for running it, because I want to be a hairdresser behind the chair and I want to work alongside people. I don't want people to feel like, oh, she's the boss.
Because your career is so diverse, and that's what I love about the industry, Sarah. And that's what I love is, at the heart of probably everything that you do is education.
Yeah.
You're an educator, and we're going to come on to that. Mm-hmm. And there's an amazing story behind some of your education I'm really keen on. But you are what I call today's independent hair artists.
Yeah.
And you've created a space for independent hair artists. Why was that important for you?
I think because for people who are self-employed, I know a lot of hairdressers who have had either bad experiences where they've been in disguised employment, myself included. And I also know people who have been independent that have worked alone and don't enjoy that. There's aspects of working for yourself that people love, like the freedom, you know, in every sense that you can have that freedom.
Because as an independent hair artist working as your own brand, you can choose how you work.
Yeah. And what you do and what you use and what you charge and when you work and all of that sort of stuff. But that doesn't mean that you want to work alone. It just means you want to work for yourself, but it doesn't mean you want to work by yourself. And there's not that many places, really, especially not in Manchester, that offer that environment. And it was really important for me to feel like it's our space for everyone that's here. It's not my space, it's ours. And there is, there's no hierarchy in here. I have, as you've met, Tom. We have Tom. Tom is responsible for running everything. He's the manager. That's his job, because I didn't want that. I wanted to be one of the hairdressers that works here and gets to enjoy this side of it. Obviously, there are a lot of things that I do have to do behind the scenes and all of that sort of stuff. But on the day to day, I trust Tom with my life to do.
So from a business model, because there's a lot of interest in membership businesses for sound, because that's how it works. Is it a membership? You know, the feel of this sort of dated word now, like I'm renting a chair. This ain't a rent a chair business. This is a membership. So maybe before we head into your story a bit further in, just talk us through the business model and maybe hairdressers, hair artists in the area that think, oh yeah, this could be for me. How does it work and how can they get involved and maybe come and be part of this space?
So for the upstairs where we're sat, this is our salon space, and downstairs is our education and event space.
Which we can hear in the background.
There's
a course going on as we speak.
Which is exciting.
Yeah, it is.
I love that that's happening while we're here.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
So upstairs, we offer 3 types of membership. So we have fixed freelance, flexi freelance, and then we have an ad hoc membership, which is literally, you could be in Belgium and you want to come and work here for a day.
Love that.
As an example, you know, just a random, you in the area, maybe you'd shoot in something and you need a salon to work from. We offer that. Then with flexi, that is, I would be classed as a flexi member because I do 2 days a week behind the chair. So it makes sense for me to be flexi. So I just pay for the time that I'm here.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
So you pay for the day. I
pay for my chair.
It's not a tie. So do you have to pay for a day as such? So your chair, and how many chairs have we got?
We've got 18 up here.
18 chairs. So effectively you could have 18 people in here working.
Yeah.
You book your space.
Yeah. So you can either do a 4-hour slot.
Right.
Or a full day, which is up to 12 hours because we're open from 8 till 8. Nobody works from 8 till 8, except sometimes me. Not behind the chair.
I'm just thinking about my moments behind the chair. But
no one does 12 hours, which is really nice. We don't advocate for that. But if you want to do that, you can. So if I'm a flexi member, I'll pay my membership fee monthly, which is what keeps...
Can I ask how much your membership fee is?
£100 a month. Yeah. I mean, it's not even a night out, is it?
No,
really.
That's brilliant, really.
And then by being a member, you have access to all our members' events. So you're the first to know about anything that we've got going on downstairs, potentially before it's advertised. For certain things, we'll be able to get spaces for our members. Not always, because it's dependent on what the event is, who's running it. Get access to me in a sense of that mentorship side, like picking my brain, whatever it is that you need help
with. Pretty valuable in itself. My door is always open. So they get that.
and then you can either come for 4 hours or you can come for the full day. And in that full day, you get access to every single thing that you can see up here.
Okay. Beautiful basins. We've got the dispensary colour.
So we've just taken on the Youth machine, because what we found is a lot of members have come from a traditional salon model where they were self-employed, technically, but were they? That whole disguise
employment.
Yeah. So
I think that is a big topic for certainly a future podcast, because it is such a dividing
100%.
line. But what I am such an advocate for now is spaces like this.
Yeah.
It gets me so excited.
Same.
Because, it's only of recent years, and there were pioneers, certainly down the Hunter Collective in
100%.
London, who really started to happen. And then we're seeing some powerhouses now up here in Manchester, and certainly here at Host Manchester is definitely here. How does that work then with a colour? So I'm just thinking for my listener.
Yeah.
Who's thinking, this sounds great.
Yeah.
Can I take my own colours, my own retail, and just do what I want as I want?
Yeah.
Okay. What about retail? Where can I retail my products? How does that work?
We have partnerships with a few brands that we retail. So the stylists can sell those, and we will just invoice them for it's a slightly reduced rate. They don't get like a commission percentage. It's they pay the trade price for whatever it is that they've sold.
Okay. Yeah.
And for the majority of for some of the products, the markup that they receive is anything between 20 and 40%, which is great. And if they want to sell anything that's not on our shelves, they are absolutely welcome to do that. That's fine. If you want to use the Youth machines, you can. If you don't, that's fine. We've got lockers down there for everyone to put
So you have all your own lockers?
Yeah. But the reason why we've got the Youth labs in is because some of the stylists who've come from that disguised employment model, where they've had access to a full colour range, they're not in a position to be able to buy that themselves as an independent, a full colour range, thousands and thousands of pounds. Also, they don't need it, but that luxury that they were used to of having access to it, if a client comes in and changes their mind about what it is that they want, and they're like, oh, has anyone got any of this? Has anyone got any of that? Instead of having to deal with that and the stress of that for them, we've decided that this is the easiest way. And some of the members are switching to it altogether because they don't want to carry the stock, and they can pay for that, as they use it. It's not spending hundreds of pounds at the start of the week and hoping that they get the clients into.
Who do you have to make sure they're the right fit for Host? Because that's also a challenging part. Was we all know that they are their own brand.
Yeah.
For a lot of people that may come in, they may see it as Host.
Yes.
Manchester.
Yes.
How do you manage that? So if there's a disappointment and there's a review that goes on Trustpilot or saying, don't go to Host Manchester because I had my hair done by so-and-so, not that that's happened.
They were crap.
But how do you deal with that? Because that's where it can become a little bit challenging, I'm thinking.
Yeah. Our clients are the hairdressers. It's not like a traditional salon where I'm not relying on foot traffic and clients coming through the door.
These are destination environments.
My clients are the hairdressers, and my goal is to ensure that the hairdresser is happy and they've got everything that they need.
I just wonder if sometimes, I think, should we just have something a bit more visual to us all, as a customer who comes in, or a guest, or how we like to call it in today's times, that there's a clear message there that everybody is their own brand.
So it's all over our website.
Yeah.
If ever anyone calls, which is quite rare for an appointment because all the hairdressers that are here, they've managed their own diaries for such a long time. No one's ever used a phone system apart from one of our hairdressers, Debbie. She actually closed her salon to come here, and she brought her employee here.
I can see why people are doing that.
Yeah.
And you can see that is going to become more and more
popular
because, for a lot of hair salon owners, running a business now is really challenging.
Yeah. And I think for a lot of hairdressers, it's it's such an idealistic thing to be a salon owner, but there's no one out there teaching you how to run a business. I'm a hairdresser. That means I know how to do hair. I'm really, really good at doing my job. But that doesn't mean I understand everything about the business side of what it means to have a salon. And I know for Debbie, she'd had her salon for 18 years and she'd just reached a point where she didn't want that stress anymore. She wanted more freedom. She wanted to work less days and all of that sort of stuff. And that's why she did it. And that's why we were such a good fit for her, because she could leave that life behind and come somewhere where she can do all of her clients. She can bring her employee who's someone that she's trained up. So there's still,
I get it, because I think we want to work independently. Managing people is a very hard thing. There's no getting away.
Yeah.
For some people, they love that. They like the managing of people. But for a lot of hair artists, they just want to be an independent hair artist and concentrate on their brand, on their socials,
doing the hair,
getting educated, being inspired. And that's the sort of people that I would imagine come here that want to be part of the industry.
We have a real mix. There's some people that just want to come and do their clients and go home. And then we've got people who are the opposite end of the spectrum and want to do everything that there is to possibly do in this industry. And it's a real nice balance. And I guess the way that we ensure that we've got the right people in here is you can't just come and work here because you want to work here. We have like a full meet, like we give whoever it is a tour. We do like a full meeting with them in person to find out what they're about.
My listener is going to think, I want to come and have a membership at Host Manchester. Is that how it would work? Do I pick up the phone? Do I get on Instagram? Do I get on email?
We've got it all. We've got a website. There's information on our website, our phone number, Instagram, like anything. Every way that you can contact us is perfectly acceptable.
So I do that. I reach out.
Yeah. So they'll come in for a tour, which would either be with myself, Tom, or Lucy. And then we'll, give them the full tour of upstairs and downstairs, introduce them to whoever's working here, answer any questions that they might have. And I would say, like, today, there hasn't been an instance where someone's come and we've thought, don't know if you'll fit in with us here.
Do you have to do a trade test?
Absolutely not.
So you will have faith in whoever wants to come and have a space. What happens if they're not qualified?
So what I look for more than anything is their passion. More than anything. Also, like, we're not going to get someone who's not qualified, because one of the terms and conditions is that we have to have your public liability insurance certificate before you start. So you can't get that if you don't have a qualification.
What's been the feedback to your current members then who have got spaces here?
Do you know what? My favourite is a guy called Daniel. He has been hairdressing for forever. He's in his early 50s and he used to work in a really high profile city centre salon. And all he says all the time is, I don't know why I didn't do it before.
Why do you think it maybe does stop people doing it? In terms of, someone like Daniel saying that.
It's scary. It's really scary because it's betting on yourself, trusting that your clients will come. And yes, naturally, some might not. And I think it's accepting and understanding that it's okay if they don't all come.
I've got to be honest. I really like these spaces. I love Host Manchester. I have to say, just coming out here. But there's a lot of negative noise, isn't there? From, employed. Yeah. And it's just boring. I'm so bored of it. All I care about, are you? Do you feel a bit, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's choice, isn't it? And what I like about this and other similar kind of environment is the professionalism and the environment to allow people to become their own people. But also, I think what I like about these spaces is it's not just hair going on here. You have that event space. Yes. Is it just hair that you can have, or do you rent this out to, or rent it out? Is that the right word?
I think we all say that. It's hair.
So it's purely hair.
Yes.
So what about brands who are listening to this and they're thinking, hang on, is this thing we could,
plenty.
Have you? Tell me about it.
So far we've had, including what's upcoming, I want to say 8 different brands. Some of them have come multiple times or have booked again, and our number for independents, like independent educators, is about the same.
Yeah. So have we got an independent educator?
We've got 2 independents downstairs
and
right
they're
now.
doing curly.
Yeah, they're doing curly hair. So it's their second event here. One of the educators, Emma, she is a member here also.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do they get a favourable rate for?
Yes.
So that's another.
Yes. And also as someone who, I guess I struggled with coming into education. I had such a big vision. I wanted to do big. I wanted to be in a big space, and it meant that, big spaces are expensive. Like I had to hire chairs, assistants, trolleys. I had to buy so much equipment or hire it, which, I mean, the first class that I did that was relatively big, I didn't make anything because it cost me so much. And I understand what it's like to be an educator that needs somewhere that's bigger than, a 6-chair salon that's not going to cost me an arm and a leg. Like, I still need to make a profit because it's not just the space that that's not the only cost for you, is it?
We love being an educator, but it's a part of your business.
Yeah, 100%. And, that's something that I'm really, really big on. Like, if you are, a new aspiring educator, like you're just starting out, I want to support as much as I possibly can, and as the business will allow me to.
So if you want to book the space, Sarah, you don't need to be a member.
No, but if you are a member, you will get a favourable rate.
But there'll be educators around, the country and internationally as well.
Yeah, we've had a fair few.
Manchester in itself is a great city, isn't it? Yeah. Why do you think Manchester's a great location?
Fucking mint. Well, here we're literally 5 minutes from Manchester Piccadilly. So wherever you're coming from, that's the train station, usually.
I'm glad you said
9 times out of 10 that you're going to come into. Manchester, I feel for years, London has been like the hub and the capital for hairdressing. But do you know what? Going to London as a northerner, I mean, I lived there, so it's a bit different for me now. But before I did, the thought of going to London for a hair event was terrifying because I don't know where I'm going. It's massive. It's dead expensive. Everyone's in a rush. What is the tube? All of these big anxieties that people will have before going to an education day. It's nice to... It's just nice
to bring it absolutely.
To the north, not every London.
So what kind of numbers could you have? So again, our listener, independent educator, they want to bring a class up here, and they know that they're going to pack it out.
Yeah. Okay.
What kind of numbers could they get?
Seated maximum capacity we have is 90.
90.
Okay,
that's tidy.
Yeah. Standing is about 120 for downstairs. But we have hosted classes as small as 6.
So they can work.
Yes, and we've had people where it's a smaller 6 up to as big
I
as
think that's
80.
really important as somebody, that puts on events from time to time and is looking at putting on events. It's quite nice to know that if you're going to do events, sometimes we don't have the numbers that we hope.
Yeah.
And it can feel a bit lacking atmosphere, but already looking around the space, even if there's only 5 people in there.
Yeah, you can make it look as, it works, whether it's jam-packed or it's small and intimate.
Does it work when the salon's all running up here as well? So
our most popular days for events are Sunday and Monday. Most of our members don't work Sunday and Monday. And if they do, it's never been more than 2 people. When there's been an event on. So it depends entirely on what the event is. There will be some events where it wouldn't matter if there's someone, sat on that chair doing some highlights.
Yeah.
And then there's others
we're doing a podcast.
Well, yeah, exactly.
And we've got applause, which I think is just wonderful that we've got doing that. It really excites me. And I guess, is the event space a big part of the business model? Because financially, you're not here to, it's not a charity, no. It's not a charity. It has to be a serious business model. How much are you enjoying this process?
Do you know what? A lot. I think I had no idea how I was going to feel about it. I guess just like everything that I've done, I just always have this attitude of like, well, what's the worst? What is the worst that's going to happen? The worst that's going to happen is that it doesn't work out and I lose a lot of money. But that money's gone already now. And I'm not thinking, now that I'm in it, I'm not thinking, oh, what if it's going to fail? Which is what I was thinking before. Now I'm like, well, obviously it's not going to fail.
What lessons have you learned from the early, because this space opened when?
Officially the 1st of November.
2024. And here we are recording this.
Yeah.
April 2025.
Yeah.
So we're very early days.
Yeah.
What lessons have you learned in those early days at the moment?
Takes a long time to sign a lease. God, I didn't really know how long that process was going to be. Also, we experienced a lot of delays with the refurbishment of the building. I think I was a bit naive in taking people at face value on that front.
Did you have members in place before you even opened up the door? So you knew that there were going to be some members coming in?
Yes. Not many.
Okay.
But so I guess it was blind faith and me just constantly saying to Peter, is it going to be all right? And he's never once wavered. It's me who's been like, is it going to work? And he's like, of course it's going to work. We're going to make it.
And that's why it's good having someone like Peter.
Yeah, 100%. Because he never freaks out, ever, really. He's so...
Well, he's a business guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Distributor, leading brands. He distributes.
Yeah.
So he knows his stuff.
He knows his stuff. And he sees something in me that I don't. So, when I'm having those moments of being like, oh, fucking hell.
And we're going to go into your story in our second podcast next week.
Yeah.
So this one today, I wanted to really focus on host. In terms of doing this, how possible would this not have been without your gigantic reach on socials?
I mean, obviously it's played a part in it, but I've had this thing which I'm trying to come out of now. When we first started on socials, like the first few posts were me. And then I was like, I don't want it to be about me because this place isn't about me at all.
But you have to be the front of that.
Well,
Steve Jobs was the front of Apple, wasn't he? So it has to be, surely.
Yeah. So, with my, minimal efforts of me being involved in showing up until maybe a few weeks ago is when I was like, okay, right. It's fine. I can be the face because it is mine. And I guess part of the appeal of working here, I'd be lying if I said that some people weren't interested in coming because of me. Cause that's, that's true. And I just
absolutely.
hope
We shouldn't hide from that. We should be proud of that because you've worked really hard for that.
I just hope that when people come that I know from the people who were attracted here by me, they've not stayed because of me. They've not chose to be here because of me. They've chose to be here because of host. And if it's me that's been the reason that's got them in the door in the first place, I'm going to start taking advantage of that because I haven't done. So we started our TikTok recently. I've been on for host. Yeah, I've been on that.
Are you managing that?
No. God, no. I oversee everything. But that is Lucy, our operations assistant. And do you know what? I feel so old because she's 21 and she's having me do all these Gen Z things, asking me if I understand what certain things mean. And I've never felt so old in my life.
Socials is just huge. I mean, even as we record this, you never miss an opportunity.
Never.
Phones at the ready, let's grab it. But that's the art of that. And, adapting your success on as SLK.
Yeah.
SLK Bleach, is that your...
Bleach expert.
Bleach expert?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you niched down on that, didn't you?
Yes.
Really early, because you worked at Bleach.
I did.
In
I worked
London.
at Bleach London.
I mean, which in itself was huge. And
yeah,
you are a real expert in bleach but your involvement, and as I say, our podcast next week, we're going to go a little bit more on that story. But you kind of had a niche and a brand. What's the niche and a brand of Host, and how's that going to look on socials?
Everything in here has been created for the benefit of the hairdresser. I, as a hairdresser, I'm so over seeing salons that are designed for the benefit of the client, because
That's a really,
do you know, like
point.
It's things like, I can appreciate a dimly lit backwash. I can appreciate how relaxing that must be for the person having their hair washed. But what I can't appreciate is how difficult that is for me as a hairdresser to actually see a true representation of the colour that I've just done. How do I know what I'm going to tone with if I can't see it properly? As an example. And things like with the way the lighting is in here, that is intentional because of the places that I myself have worked where I've struggled
with the light,
with the light, which is, I can appreciate a really aesthetic looking salon that's like got mood lighting and stuff. It's gorgeous.
The lighting in here is uplifting. You can't, even on a greyish, I mean, it's not grey, but the clouds are covering but there's just so much daylight.
Yeah.
It's so good for our well-being.
Yeah. And the lights are designed to mimic natural daylight. And when it came to choosing them, I literally said to our shop fitters, my words were, if you go and watch a football match in winter, you're at, I was about to say Old Trafford, and then I thought, I'm not even a United fan. I don't want people to, I'm not really a football fan, but whatever, right.
You're in Manchester, so
you're in the football ground
Etihad
somewhere.
or Old Trafford.
And you can see everything on that pitch clear as day, but it's pitch black outside. I was like, that's what I want. If someone's at the end of that road, if they're coming from Piccadilly Station in the winter, I want them to see like this beacon of light at the end, which is here. So it doesn't matter if it's pitch black outside. It doesn't matter if the shutters are down. This is how it looks. If anything, I'd go as far to say when it's dark outside, the light in here is even better than it is now. So,
it is a stunning venue, I must say to our listener. And congratulations to you, Sarah, Peter, Tom. You have created something. When you come to a place, you really get it. And I got it as soon as I walked in here, and I got what you're doing and what you're achieving and why it is such a welcoming space. And I'm guessing am I the first podcast to come?
You are.
I love that. Look, Sarah, it's been great. I wanted to learn about Host today. And as I said, this is a special one, and I'm doing it in two parts because there's a lot that's happened in your life since we've done the podcast back in
2023.
It was April 2023.
Yeah.
So it literally is almost on the day, 2 years, which is incredible. Completely not planned. So it's completely not planned. So again, just for people, just to make sure you subscribe to the show.
Yeah.
You won't miss next week because we are really going to go into the story that's led Sarah to where she is today and probably where she was last year, because I think everybody thinks everything's just wonderful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I think it's really easy for people everyone's perception is, well, the way I view perception is that if I look at someone who's doing really well and I'm not, because this is the person that I was, my perception would be, well, it's been easy for them. That's why they're in that position and I'm not, because it was easy for them. Or they got lucky or whatever.
That's right.
And I can say that because that's how I used to look at other people. And now that I'm in the position that I once dreamt of, I can say that it's not luck and it's not easy.
And you're not going to say it anymore because you've just set it up beautifully.
Perfect.
For next week. All right. So I'm really looking forward to sharing that as well. But thank you so much for allowing us to come in here today and talk about Host.
Yeah.
And you should be very, very proud. Thank you once more then to Sarah for letting me join her in host Manchester to bring you this episode today. Now, if you enjoyed today's episode, I promise you are going to want to catch part 2 next week, as Sarah is going to give us a raw and real about her behind the scenes struggles in the hair industry. Trust me, this is an episode you do not want to miss. So make sure to hit the subscribe button so you are ready when it drops next week. From today, here are my big takeaways from our conversation. First up, as freelancers in the hair industry, community and collaboration are more important than ever. And Host Manchester, I believe, is up there for leading the way in creating these spaces. We also learned how Sarah transformed her vision of a co-working space into a reality that empowers hair professionals to work independently but never feel alone. And finally, the importance of tailoring education and creative environments to fit the needs of freelancers and brands and educators, and how that can change the way we all work moving forward. You can find everything we've mentioned in today's episodes, including all the links, and you can find them in our episode show notes online at howtocutit.com/EP359. Now, I hope you're enjoying listening to the podcast as much as I enjoy bringing them to you. And if that's the case, please make sure to subscribe to the show and leave us a rating and a review. And do share it with your hairdressing friends. Your feedback and support mean the world, and it helps us keep bringing you these conversations to life. Now, if you want to be part of something truly special, join me at Grid Studios London on June the 3rd, where we're going to be bringing you our live How to Cut It podcast event titled Courage to Change with Sophia Hilton. This is going to be an audience that's going to be packed with bold stories and actionable insights that will leave you inspired to take your courageous step forward. You can grab your tickets online and more information to this event at howtocutit.com/Sophia-Hilton. And don't forget to follow us on socials at How to Cut It. We are across all your channels, so do keep connected to everything that we are doing and get all the latest updates and be part of the conversations. And finally, a reminder, be sure to tune in next week for part 2 of my interview with Sarah. It's a powerful, unmissable episode that you'll want to hear from start to finish. This podcast is brought to you by How to Cut It Media. My name's Dom Lehane. And until next week, peace, love and smiles all the way. Goodbye.